Okay, hello everyone. For those watching on the restream, I am Miss Oshun, and thank you for tuning in to the Game of Dragons TV. And how y'all doing? I hope y'all doing okay, because I'm doing okay. I've been having a good time today. I will say this is the first Saturday in a long time that I have really been chilling. Like everything has been really good today. Nothing crazy, and now I'm starting my day online. And you guys know I was here, I think yesterday or the day before. So this is very impromptu, as I always promise to never tell you when I'm coming, and everything will be a surprise. Doesn't matter what. But today I have a special guest. I have a good friend of mine from Knowledge and Relationships and other platforms I know her from, Miss Lady E. She is here. She will be doing a commentary with me on, as you know, the title of this video, which is Baby Deletion, i.e., you know what I'm talking about, trafficking. Now, that's a pretty sensitive topic, so this is not an open panel night. If you are here and you want to come up on the panel, okay, I am very leery of that. I'm just gonna tell y'all, because you know how these conversations is. It's not a woman's conversation, okay, but we can get into this, okay? But this is not an open panel night. All right, Miss Lady E. Without further ado, there you go.
Hi. Hello, good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm so glad you're here. Listen.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. I thought of you, and here's the thing, you know me, when I get inspiration, I don't know where it comes from, where it's going, but when I thought of this subject matter, right, I just thought of you. And I don't know why. I just thought of you, and something was like, Lady E. She the Lady E. That's who you need up there, Lady E. Because I'm pretty. I don't want to say sensitive about my content, because I'm not sensitive, but I don't just do everyday random content every day. So
you're passionate about your content.
I have to do.
You can truly say that you're passionate about your content.
I try my best, and so I was really sitting there like, okay, what's my next move? And then this came up, and then I said, well, should I talk about this alone? But because I felt this was very much needed for another perspective, because sometimes with me, don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm a very balanced person. I do, but I know even I have my own biases based on my experience, right, with just this topic in general, when it comes to baby deletions and being a minor, because I was a teen parent. So, I went through a lot of what we're talking about here. Now, not the trafficking part, because I grew up, with James Evans was my father, okay? So, I didn't get all of this, but a lot of the emotions and the physical issues, I went through it, so I understand it. But I do know that maybe I can be jaded, because I've been through some stuff. But let me ask you, have you been a teen parent or a young parent, meaning under 25?
Yes, I had got pregnant at 19, had my first child at 20, and then I had another child at the age of 23, and that's it.
Okay. I actually had a child at 19 as well. But yeah, I hadn't turned 20 just yet. But I was 19 when I had my second child, and I was 27 when I had my third child. Now that one, look at hey, sophisticated jerk. I have a cash app, okay? But matter of fact, okay, because y'all know I don't usually drop my I usually don't drop my cash app, but I'll do since you said it. Hold on. There you go. I think that's it. Hopefully that's not nobody else's. Hopefully. But those were the days. Now, I want to say that was it late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, back then, the laws were very different. Every state had baby deletion law up to, I think, 6 months. I think New York was pushing it like around 7 months, something like that, somewhere around it. California too. But in the middle, like I was out here in Maryland, in the middle, it was, you could do it up to, I think, 20 weeks, like 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, I forgot what it was in the state of Louisiana, but yeah, the partial abortion was the term that was used.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have known. I would have brought a friend. She actually used to work in one of the clinics.
Okay.
The abortion clinic. So she saw some things.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I didn't get a chance to see that movie that came out about that lady who I think she was a clinician or a doctor in the clinic, and she, like, her position on it changed so drastically because she said when she would have the ultrasound, she would see how the child would react to being cut. The child would be trying to get away from it. And so basically she realized this was not just some tissue. This was an actual human, and she couldn't do it. And people was upset about the movie. I don't know what the movie was called. I just remember seeing a trailer. But there was so much hysteria over it. I was like, what are you people doing? But what I want to do is I want to play some news footage about what we're talking about today, because I want people to understand this is not just me having a feeling about this topic, because I know how sensitive it is. But as we know, Roe versus Wade was not overturned. For you people out there that don't understand, the decision was simply returned to the states to make that decision. Now, granted, most states have outlawed this altogether. I'm not even gonna shit you right now, but I think 3 or 4 states still has it, and I think that's California, Idaho, somewhere up in there, Maryland, and Connecticut. Somewhere it's like 4 states, like that's it, like maybe 4 states, but everywhere else it's illegal. And it's not just illegal. You can, if you're a doctor, you can go to jail for a significant amount of time for performing one. If you're a woman and you leave the state on your own to go get one and someone finds out about it, you can be placed in jail. Now, the reason I know that is because it came across the news here in Maryland about the Texas law for adult women, that if you see someone in Texas coming to our state where it's legal to get, a procedure done, and she from Texas, and you call the Texas police and they find out she actually came up here and got one, they give you $5,000 to $10,000 reward for reporting somebody from Texas coming here to get a procedure. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Lady E, I was kind of like creeping past that every time I drive past that clinic, looking for anybody that looked like they had a Texas tan. I'm looking like, listen, $10,000 is a lot of money. Like, listen.
Look, and even working in the trap house, there's certain prescription drugs that are used to, when some women have spontaneous abortion or missed abortion, or would have an elective abortion. Now we have to document. We have to contact doctors and get diagnosis codes and annotate like this drug is not being used for an elective abortion. Otherwise, you're talking about heavy fines, being stripped of a license, doing time, federal time at that. So,
Right. Now, one thing I haven't heard much about, which is the Plan B pill, like the stocks in that going up or anything like that. I haven't heard much about the difference, but I knew within 2 years we would start seeing something. Like whatever happened, we're gonna see something. But when I saw this what I'm about to play, I didn't even capitulate that this would be an actual rule. Because I didn't think this far into it. Because when I think about, an abortion, right? I think about women, like grown women, right? Even though I was a child, I think about grown adults, right? Because that's such an adult thing. But I didn't know that it reached this. And now that I've seen this, I can think of several ways that children can be exploited by even having this procedure done. Like, and I'll go over that later, but let me add this, and we're gonna come to it. Hold on, let me turn this music down so it can stay here. All right, so let me play this, and we will be right there.
In the meantime, a new Idaho law makes it illegal for an adult to help a minor get an abortion without parental consent. It's called the abortion trafficking law. It's been signed by Idaho's Republican governor, Brad Little, and it can be 2 to 5 years in prison if anyone is convicted. NBC's Ali Vitale has been reporting on this story for us. Charles Coleman is a former prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst. Ali, let's start with this law. It creates a crime they call abortion trafficking. What more can you tell us about it?
Yeah, Chris, this is among the most restrictive laws that we have seen across the country, and certainly the first of this kind, which would effectively govern the way that adults could help pregnant minors without the consent of their parents access abortion care. And we're not just talking about medical abortions, we're also talking about medicated abortions, specifically the abortion pill. I can put up for you on the screen some of the fine points here, because again, this is something that's the first of its kind, but could be mimicked across the country, especially in conservative legislatures. So
now, I didn't know till hit this, that if you try to help a child get not Plan B, but the actual pill, like that, like you're pregnant and you want to take that pill, that even the pill you can go to jail for. Like that's serious. These Republicans serious. They want these babies born and born healthy.
And that's why I say, at work, we have to document everything when dispensing the quote unquote abortion pill. It's not necessarily an abortion pill. It's actually a pill that's used for inflammation, but can induce abortion.
I see. Okay, I see. They call it that, but what it's actually doing is induce labor, and then okay, I see what you're saying.
So I don't know. I mean, you've been pregnant, so it's contraindicated for women who are pregnant to take any anti-inflammatory because it poses harm to the fetus. So it falls in that class of a anti-inflammatory, but it is so much greater and so much stronger than your over-the-counter anti-inflammatory. If that makes any sense.
Now let me ask you this. Let's suppose somebody, whether it's a child or an adult, takes it, and let's say they have complications from it, right? Are we talking about complications like somebody could have complications if they went to the clinic and got that procedure, or the regular complications that women experience in childbirth?
Complications in the pregnancy, you're risking loss of the pregnancy, period. So anti-inflammatories can cause internal bleeding. So
oh my.
You're gonna more than likely you're gonna start spotting, and if you're spotting, then means you blood loss, which means the baby is losing oxygen, and your body will naturally try to expel. However, depending on how far you are in the pregnancy, that pill doesn't work necessarily, because the baby just won't hatch. You still have to go have a DNC done where the baby has to be removed. So some people think I may be so far within the pregnancy, let me try and get this pill, and now you have put the baby at risk, and you put your own life at risk at this point in time. Because if you don't get the medical attention that you need, your life is at risk.
I didn't know that until you said that. I thought, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Now, given what you just said with this new law, as far as protecting children, right? An adult that does something like that, right? Like what you just said, they are adult. They are consenting adult. If they want to do a self-deletion, okay, that they are an adult. However, with a child, taking a pill like that when, let's say, you 6 months, right? Most likely you're gonna delete yourself. Most likely. You're going to delete yourself because you ain't going to go to the hospital. Whatever happened, you ain't going to know what's going on. And you're going to lay in your little twin bed up in your room and basically, you know, kill yourself. This is one of those situations that I felt let's say, supported this law, because when they say you can't give a child, this pill, it's because you are not a medical licensed person to do this, and you are not their care provider to say this pill is good for them and it's not going to take their life, and thus this is okay. So I really don't understand why people are upset at the bill saying you can't give a child a pill on the fly that's going to cause this type of medical induced circumstance. Like, I don't understand. I thought it was pretty clear cut.
It's basically, in my opinion, it's, you know, the pedophiles are afraid to be exposed. That's the way I see it, because if you're not the parent or the guardian, you don't have the right to medicate that. It's even like in schools when you fill out the emergency forms and everything, you have to give the school permission to administer medication to your underage child. So as an adult, if I come to one of your minor kids, I have no right to administer anything to them. And technically, on a legal standpoint, even though your child may be experiencing a medical emergency, whether the outcome is good or bad, if I administer that child aid, you have every right to come and sue me.
Correct.
Even if I saved your kid's life, you still have the right to come and sue me because you never gave me permission to administer aid or even come in contact with your kid.
Wow. Now, I want to come back to that point. That's an excellent point, but I want to come back to that because this started, if I'm not mistaken, in Idaho after Roe versus Wade was returned to the states, but it started spreading, and obviously the Republicans wasn't spreading nothing, but it started openly spreading. Let me see. I'm gonna skip through this real quick. Okay, so let me see.
Authorize the Attorney General to prosecute anyone who facilitates a minor leaving Idaho where abortion is banned for care without parental consent. Among the supporters who pushed for the bill is the center Stanton Healthcare.
We coined the phrase abortion trafficking. It was actually Stanton working with Right to Life of Idaho that came up with that phrase because of the way that the abortions have been pushed on our young women. So when we found out that they were coming up with this bill, we really wanted to be involved. We just believe that young women facing unexpected pregnancies deserve better than abortion.
Planned Parenthood Northwest plans to challenge the measure, saying it will harm minors in abusive households who don't feel comfortable talking with their own parents about their options.
I think this should be...
Now, they went into, every video I found went into the whole children can't talk to their parents thing. I found that to be very juvenile in terms of an excuse why you should allow strangers, anybody, to give a child medication that could kill them. That their parents they're not people you can really talk to. I'm like, so we just gonna just say that without any proof? But that's what we're gonna. But it gets better though. Hold on. Let me see. It gets better. Okay. Now get to that. Here we go.
Member Senate Bill 404 is passed.
Cheers erupting as lawmakers greenlighted Senate Bill 404, the legislation upgrading Florida's current law requiring minors notify parents of an abortion to needing their consent, a waiver from the courts necessary to avoid it.
We're just making the conversation be a little stronger than just a notification.
Supporters hailed the move as a major victory for parental rights. Sid Bowditch, one of them.
But when we're younger, we make vastly different decisions then than we would later in life, because with lived life, you just learn.
Lawmakers voted along party lines, Republicans in favor, Democrats opposed, some suggesting it's a Trojan horse used to erode women's rights, also fearing the policy would encourage teens to break the law and seek unsafe abortions. Senator Lauren Book warning there would be consequences.
When you put young girls and women in a desperate position, abortion gets pushed into the shadows and it becomes very, very dangerous.
The policy.
Now, okay, so essentially what I heard there, and this is Florida, what I heard them saying is because people are going to break the law, we need to make the law easy for them so it won't be technically breaking the law. To me, right, we're talking about young girls here. However, I hear pedophilia. That's what I hear. I hear them saying, well, you know, they're going to do it anyway. And it's like, so
they're creating loopholes to protect the pedophiles because at the end of the day, sorry to interject, but Florida is a state where I can knock at your door, and if you feel threatened by me, you could shoot me through the door and get away with it.
That right there. Now, here's the thing. This is the same bill, just in a different state now. However, look, like you said, the culture of the state, it's just breeding ground for that other stuff to start happening more. Now it gets worse here. I'm telling you, by the time we get to this debate section, I'm gonna save the best for last for you. But hold on, let me see.
Still needs to get through 2 more GOP-held committees to reach the floor. Opponents like Florida State medical student Rachel Sabra hope it's enough time to regroup.
Even though the vote didn't go our way, there were a number of people that were in our favor. So that's almost reassuring to me.
In Tallahassee, Forrest Saunders, ABC Action News.
As another Texas legislative session,
and this is Texas.
Another abortion debate is brewing.
This time it focuses on the judicial bypass process minors can seek to have an abortion without parental consent. The bill would increase the burden of proof for teenagers trying to convince a judge the abortion is necessary. Chris Sadeghi has more on how some lawmakers at the center of this debate got a surprise visit today.
We're here for Jane.
Dressed in hospital gowns and with signs supporting Jane, these women marched into several offices at the Capitol.
They were shocked. It was unexpected.
They wanted to talk about House Bill 3994 that would add more restrictions to the judicial bypass system. If a minor in Texas wants an abortion, she must have one of her parents' permission or have a judge allow it.
Some of these situations are really bad.
These women say adding restrictions would only make those situations worse.
A Tampa teen has been given the right to have an abortion in court after winning an appeal in district court. Though officials in Florida, the law requires those under 18 to have parental consent, she utilized a judicial bypass to have access to the medical procedure. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank reports on the ruling and what impact the Supreme Court could have.
In this case, the teenager's future was literally laid out in black and white.
Any young teenage girl who is pregnant is already going through a huge emotional burden.
Ricky Parwani is the lawyer for the teen, listed as Jane Doe, and explained to the court that the 17-year-old high school junior from Tampa also works, pays for her own things, and that she wants an abortion because she's not yet financially stable.
Now, I had to stop it right there. Every time I hear that shit, it burn me up. and the reason it burns me up is because I have been 17 with children. It burns me up because I have had 2 17-year-olds. I got a 13-year-old now. And this burns me up. She's telling the court, basically, I am my own parent, right? I pay for all my stuff. I works. I pays for everything, right? And yet I'm not financially stable. On what planet are you going to sit here and tell somebody you should be able to put another life out because you're mature enough to financially take care of yourself, then turn around in the next sentence or paragraph and say, but I need this because I'm not financially stable. That sounds like a child talking. So I'm sitting here like, how is this child in court talking about you need an abortion? Your parents should be here. I need to talk to your mama. That's what I need to talk to. Where your father at? Like, this don't make no sense right here. And I was like, so basically the court's time, out of all the cases we got going on, backlog, we dealing with this? This what we dealing with? So basically a judge got to say, oh, you got your own job. You making your own decisions. Who pay a mortgage on the house you living in? You do? Working at McDonald's? Oh, get me the last couple receipts of the last water bill and gas and electric bill you paid. And I don't want to see no partial bills. I want to see the whole bill. Okay, babe. Like, what's up with that? Like, I just want to know. Like, what do you mean your bills? Let me see your grocery bill. Can you produce your bank statements? Like, what are you doing? And here's the thing. It gets even worse. Check this out.
She wants to enlist in the military before going to college and becoming a nurse.
She wants to enlist in the military. Now, that's a good excuse. I need an abortion because I'm about to enlist in the military. That's a good excuse, right? But here's the thing. If you wanted to enlist in the military, what are you doing? Like, you think you're going to go and just get baby deletion after baby deletion after baby deletion so you can be in the military? Like, really? Like, the laws is not like that anymore. Like, you can't just do whatever you want to do. So this is the nonsense right here. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand it's a child. She's 17. She's just trying to get what she's trying to get. But my thing is, I've worked in the court system too, and this right here would make me quit my job. I'm not overseeing no cases with this bull right here. Like, you wanna do this because you paying all your bills and you want to go into the military. All right. Now, mind you, she ain't in the military. She's just saying this. Okay, check this out.
Do have futures. They understand that having a child may limit those futures in different ways.
Jane Doe testified that both of her parents would likely refuse to give consent, as is required under Florida law. A previous ruling by Judge Jared Smith denied her request, citing concerns she wasn't being forthcoming about her GPA.
Okay, so now we into hearsay about the parents. They don't got no evidence that these parents would not fairly hear what she got to say. Because legally, they don't have to have her go get this procedure. There's no law that says when your child tell you this, you have to run and go do this. There's no law saying that. They're not breaking the law. So why are they being painted as lawbreakers, as if they did something wrong to a court that is where the question is burden of proof? What is your burden of proof? Like, when it comes to the reason why your parents can't, sign. I could see if she said, my father, he touched me and my mother was okay with it. I could understand that. Like, now, not to say that that's a legitimate reason to go and get a procedure, but I can understand that reasoning. But this right here, this is silly season to me. And I've been there. I've been 17 with a child. Like, I mean, but this is the courts though. This is in court. Now, what was this, Florida or Texas? No, I think this was Florida or Texas, one of them. They have that where if you're a child and you can't, get your parents, you can go to the court. I do feel that that's a fair outlet. Like, if you see a judge, right? Okay, cool. But beyond that, it's like, I agree with the first attorney that if a child doesn't have a right to do something, what are we talking about in court? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You don't got a right to do that. And here's another issue. When a child has a child, the law says that now child is in the custody of the grandparent. That's an automatic thing. My father learned that the hard way. He was like, what do you mean she can't collect child support? They said, well, technically the child is in your care and custody, sir. And my father was like, what? And then they said, well, you would have to sue his mother. Now, his mother was a woman who was not working. She had a habit, all of that. And my father was like, so basically I'm just asked out. And the lady was like, yeah, pretty much. And so, but that's how the law is already written. Mind you, they have not what they call it, they haven't amended that law, that when a minor gives birth to a child, the child is now in the care and custody of whoever has care and custody of that minor. They haven't amended that. So I don't understand this. What say you? Hold on, lady. I think you muted, hon. Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. Let me see. Let me try to refresh real quick. Let me see. Okay, let me refresh. If not, I'll come back in. Let me refresh. Okay, I'm back. And can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, I still can't hear you. Do me a favor, come out and come back in. Yeah. All right. So, hey, salute everybody. Hey, Mr. Best, how are you? How are you? Glad to see you. Yeah, we are just chopping it up. This is just one of those things that we, it's changing with the times. It's just changing with the time. I mean, it ain't like it ain't like it's not happening. Many people said that this would happen, but I don't think anyone thought that it would happen like this. I think I
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. I don't think anybody knew when they said that these laws were going to change that this was going to happen. I don't think they saw this coming. But I was asking you, lady, what do you think so far?
Like I said, that opens up another can of worms because that kind of going against exposing the pedophiles. The pedophiles could like go around do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
The grandparent is financially responsible. They're not financially responsible. And it also may be part of the agenda because due to last census, which is why I think the Roe versus Wade was overturned, the population of a certain demographic dropped a few points. And since that demographic dropped, and then you had two demographics that increased, which I believe was Asian and Hispanic in America.
Correct.
And the black population pretty much stayed the same. So the only population that dropped was the Caucasian population. So we're at fear that we're losing power. So if we force the birth, our pedophiles, who typically make up the demographic of white males, will be able to produce children that are more than likely Caucasian, which can then go turn around and increase the Caucasian population. So those are all the things that I start thinking about.
Yeah, and see that's another angle on this, right? Just from this one little law. Now I get it. It's like, and let me be clear, right? When it comes to grown women, I can have my opinion about that, right? But when it comes to children, and we know we talking about children as young as 10 years old right now. Let's be clear. Like, it ain't like we talking about 17-year-old girls that's looking like they 25. No, we talking about children as young as 10 years old. So the thing is, if a 10-year-old is impregnated, right? What used to happen is, go get your procedure done on the child, and you can hide who the daddy is. Now, ain't no hiding, no nothing. When that child come out and they figure out that the baby's father is not another minor, and it's, Uncle so-and-so or whomever, now you're going to have an increase of, like you said, charges. That's what we the charges. That's the hashtag of the century. Charges like dropped on you. But let me see. I wanna skip to.
But what happens to those charges of those that are wealthy? Like, you've seen that in the media where you have high value men or men that, you know, make a lot of money that get caught up and nothing actually happens to them.
That's another thing, right? With this new law, this is where I think they need to flesh it out just a little bit further. Because like you said, okay, you're making a law where you're giving rights to the unborn child, right? Which is fine, because we already had laws on the books, for instance, that if you let's say cause a woman to die and she was pregnant, you get in 2 charges. That's what you're doing. So there has been this extension of rights granted to the unborn child. So, you know, you can't just go and get these procedures like all willy-nilly like that. You can't. But when you do that, right, because there's no law in place that says children are legally not able to enter inside of consensual or non-consensual sex, now you've got this issue of what do you do with the people that you will act, you know, you're going to lock these people up. You already know that. What are you going to do with that so that this doesn't become a political like scapegoat circumstance? What are you going to do? I don't think the states thought that far. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I applaud them here. I do. But I don't think they thought that far in the future, because I don't think they really understand how many people are going to go to jail just simply because you are now saying children cannot go get these deletions. They can't even leave the state, and no one can take them to leave the state.
But it all boils down to who is the law protecting.
Right.
When we make these laws, who is it honestly protecting? Are we protecting the child? Are we protecting the pedophile? Are we protecting the unborn? Because now you have this child, when they do come into the world, they can either stay at home or they go up into the system in the adoption agency. And then we have states where children that are in the system disappearing, becoming unaccounted for.
And that's another.
Then when there's a possibility of organ trafficking. So you're like,
yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation in itself.
That is a whole nother one. But see, that's I think that's what the abortion rights people were saying, that the states are saying, well, we don't want to do A, but they haven't actually thought about B, C, and D. They're just stopping A. And they're saying, well, you know, what are you going to do with the ramifications of your decision? So I think it's a legitimate argument, right? But I do think it's an argument they need to have and flesh out in terms of money. Meaning, when minors get pregnant, you do need to hold parents accountable, but you also need to make sure that there's a safety measure in place, for instance, for children that are in the system. Children that have been, you know, dealt with incest, stuff like that. Their adoptions shouldn't be burdensome on those people, stuff like that. So I don't think they thought that far in the future, and that's unfortunate. But I'm not going to sit here and say because they haven't thought that far in the future, well, let's just go, you know, go kill everybody. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say they need to do better. However, this is leaning real pedo status, if I have to say so. But hold on, let me see something real quick. Okay, look at this. And the only reason why I put this next video in here is because I wanted to show that these older teenagers, when it comes to the conversation, you know, of these procedures being done on minors, they still think like children. So the idea of them going to courts to argue their position is assuming that they are mature enough to go to court and argue a position. Like, look at this. Hold on.
That's just a reply to the 13-year-old situation. That's not a consenting adult. It's like the person who is pregnant. You can't consent if you're not. If you're a minor, you can't consent to anything.
So if you're a minor, should you be able to have an abortion without your parents' consent? You just said you're a minor, you can't consent to anything. And I said, if you're a minor, can you consent to having an abortion? And you just said yes. Do you understand how that's a logical statement?
Now let me roll that back. Let me roll it back because I don't think. Let me roll it back. They asked the first girl about basically rape and consenting to sex, right? On a 13-year-old. So the question is, can a minor consent to sex? And we skip over this whole raping situation, right? So the girls, you look at they like 16, 17 years old. They like, oh no, you can't consent to sex. That's raping, right? Okay, cool. You heard why she said that? Because you're a minor. You can't consent, right? But then turn around and do this. Hold on, let's see it one more time for those in the back that's watching on the restream.
So should you, if you're a minor, should you be able to have an abortion without your parents' consent? You just said you're a minor, you can't consent to anything. And I said, if you're a minor, can you consent to having abortion? And you just said yes. Do you understand how that's a logical statement?
Now this one, I don't know why it's so damn blurry, but I was looking up the definition of consent just for the sake of it, because I'm like, what does that mean anyway? But never mind this one. So with that statement, right, and I heard what the girl said when the camera was on the adult. She was saying, well, the girl has her whole life ahead of her. And my thing is, that is true. She does, right? But this is the consequence of your actions. And I think every girl knows when they lay down from the age of, let's say, 14 on up, we know we could get pregnant. And this could affect the rest of our life. So if we choose to do so, just like if we chose to commit a crime, we understand, obviously, we understand the consequences of our actions. So why should the government supplement your actions? Meanwhile, if you commit a crime as a child, anything else, the government ain't gonna supplement you like that. Like, especially if you black, they're not doing that. Oh no, you going to jail and making money like everybody else. So I found that interesting that when you put a child in that conversation and ask them, well, what do you think? They still act like children.
Well, I mean, that demographic gets all the loopholes. I mean, when you think about it, look at the black athletes that get fall under this consent when it comes to intercourse, and daddy and YT daddy finds out, and it's like, you need to press charges.
Right
now our son's careers are ruined because now she didn't give consent because she was either had an edible, had one too many shots, or just, she wasn't in her right mind at that point in time. So
if there's
consent, the term consent in the court of law is very vague according to what demographic you fall in. Right. So who are we were protecting with the term consent? That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking, once again, it's another broad spectrum where it's not really actually completely thought out, but here is my brain moving 150 miles per hour, and I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
And you know what? I think that's how lawmakers need to look at it, because when you decide to make something law, you gotta think about all the other things that it will affect, and vice versa. And that is one that it will affect in terms of, well, what is considered consent? Because in one instance, if somebody's mental capability is being affected by something, right? Now we say consent is not a conversation because they were incapacitated. If we had data that showed people up to the age of 25, their brains aren't mature enough to make decisions, what are we talking about? A 12-year-old consenting to getting a procedure, a 12-year-old consenting to sex, a 12-year-old telling somebody, hey, I think I can go out of town and do what I want to do. Really? What are we talking about? Like, and now it's like, well, sure, it would protect even, you know, those of the fairer complexion more so. But even with them, you can see where it really wouldn't be protecting certain ones of them, to be honest with you. Some of them.
And I'm gonna just go based off of what I've seen and experienced. There's people of our same demographic that are special needs that are adults but don't know right from wrong. And these women habitually get pregnant because, you know, these random men are taking advantage of someone who's not mentally sane.
Right.
And so they come back into the labor and delivery unit every 2-3 years, dropping a baby that the state takes custody of because the mom is not capable of taking care of that individual.
I've seen that.
And that's sad. And so how do we protect those people?
That is a good question. That's a good question right there. But again, this is one of those topics that maybe some states have addressed and I haven't found them. But this is still new. Like, I'm be honest with you, all this is still new. Because this bill just got passed this year in all these states. All of them. This next portion, right, is from The Guardian. It's a debate, right? I wanted us to listen to this debate in full so that we could hear what people are talking about when it comes to consent. Now, I know consent isn't the topic, right? However, it's at the heart of what we're talking about, which is a child consenting to leaving the state for a procedure to, you know, essentially save their life and get rid of a child, right? So let's talk about consent, right? So I'm gonna let this play, and we'll come back as soon as it finishes.
The age of consent was 16 in the 19th century. I think it's now more than 100 years later.
Can you turn the media volume a little bit higher?
First sexual experience is now 14. An age of consent of 16 is unrealistic. And also, of course, very importantly, it criminalizes young people engaged in consenting sexual acts with other people of the same ages. You know, we're not talking about adults having sex with children. That's totally wrong. But we're talking about young people of similar ages. One option might be to keep the age of consent at 16, but have a policy of not prosecuting sex involving young people under 16, providing there's no more than, say, 2 or 3 years difference in their ages. Kind of system they have in Switzerland, Israel, and some other countries.
And actually, the system that we de facto have here, because although you're right that the age of consent is currently 16, the Crown Prosecution Service, whose job it is to decide when a prosecution is in the public interest, actually are really clear that when two people are the same age, it will generally be extremely unlikely that they would prosecute unless there is a suggestion that one has been exploited and coerced. So if you look at the way that the law actually works in practice, there is an attempt to capture that nuance, and that's why we don't have legions of 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds on the sex offenders register. Obviously, that does then create a sort of a lack of clarity, arguably. But I think we need a lot more evidence that that's doing harm before we make such a significant change to a law that is, after all, designed to protect children. It's not there to criminalise them. I think a better emphasis for those who want to make sure that children are aware of their rights and are empowered to make informed decisions is, of course, to focus on sex education, which I know is something that we would probably agree on.
Better quality, earlier sex education is vital. And I would not support any change in the age of consent unless that was brought into play. On the point about young people largely not being affected by this, you're right, the numbers are small. Prosecutions are very small. Cautions less so. There are more cautions, and some of those people who are cautioned are put on the sex offenders register for sexual relationships with young people of the same age or similar age. It's usually because parents don't like the person their son or daughter is going out with. They ask them to stop, they won't, and so therefore they bring in the police, and the other partner ends up getting prosecuted.
Well, there still has to be evidence in those cases, so I think we need to be sure that the caution's not being given because actually there is a suggestion coming from the victim, arguably not necessarily the parents. It doesn't matter who it comes from, there still has to be objective evidence. I think there is a real problem with adults
And this is something that the Office of the Children's Commissioner has recently published a major report on after a 2-year inquiry. There's a real problem with adults coming to terms with the fact that it's not just older people who are predatory towards young people. Predatory attitudes between teenagers are actually widespread. Sexist attitudes, bullying, were found in that report to exist across the country. So that layer of protection is as important between people of the same age, young people of the same age, as it is in a case where there's a much older sexual predator.
Yeah, up to any form of sexual grooming, predatory behavior, sexual exploitation or abuse, that's totally wrong in all circumstances, no matter who does it. But I think, for me, the big problem is that even if the number of cautions and prosecutions is low, when sex involves young people of similar ages under the age of consent, it sends a very wrong signal. It sends the signal that these young people are criminals. In fact, in law, they have the status of unapprehended criminals.
So if the argument is that the age of consent is so high that it is risking criminalizing lots of young people, even though I would argue that in practice it's not, what do you think a more appropriate age would be?
I think, given that the average age of consent is now 14 is probably more realistic. Although I wouldn't encourage young people to have sex at that age. It's best if they wait. But if they do, they shouldn't be labelled by the law as criminals. Another option might be to have a system whereby sex involving young people under 16 would not be prosecuted, providing there's, say, only 2 years difference in their ages. So that would protect young people from older predatory pedophiles.
Now, first off, do you hear the double talk in this man? Now I'm gonna try my best not to be racist.
Wait, when he said something about the age of 14, I was like, oh, we need to go confiscate his computers.
That's what I'm. I'm gonna play his explanation because he's gonna claim the Guardian edited him, and that's not what he said, right? Okay, I'm gonna play that. But right now, what he's saying is he's acting as if this law that he's proposing to lower the age of consent is protecting children from having sex from other children because they are criminalized. Now, mind you, the only time children are criminalized for having sex literally with another child is under the circumstance of abuse, not I'm her boyfriend, he's my boyfriend, I'm her girl. That's never been the case from Britain over here into the Americas. That's never been the case. We do not criminalize children for having sex with other children. We criminalize sexual predators that just so happen to be children. That's what we do, right? So what he's saying is, well, to protect children so that they won't go to jail for things they shouldn't, let's lower the age to 14. Okay, we lower the age to 14 to protect less than 1% of children that might be accused of sexual, let's say, sexual immoralities, right? So now, guess what? Guess what happens? The pedophiles don't have to go to jail because the age of consent has been lowered. Now, mind you, like he said, I don't suppose that, that they should have sex at 14. But if they should have sex at 14 with an adult, right? How in the world is the law going to prosecute someone for having sex with a minor if the law says the minor can consent to sex? How? You see how the pedophile, this is what you were saying in the beginning. That's why I said we're going to get to the pedophile shit. This right here, because he's acting as if he wants to really save children and so that they can really, so they won't be criminalized. Now, I will give it to him. If a young woman or young boy is found going across state lines trying to get a baby deletion, you go into jail. 14, 15, 16, 17, you 18, you go into jail. Hell, in Texas, you're going to jail at 42. You go into jail. That's for damn sure. But the problem is he acting like we need to protect them. Protect them from what? They are trying to take the life of another protected U.S. citizen.
But look what he said. I also caught on to it. I encourage them, not to because they're minors. But if you're a minor and you lay with an adult, you can trust the adult because they're more mature. You can follow their. That's what I'm getting from him. which is opening more doors for the pedophiles, the men of his age that prey on younger women. So it's like, I can do this. Now I can pay you. I can pay you now. And I can enjoy myself with you. I can groom you. You know, you've heard the stories with Celine Dion and her late husband. You know, she was groomed from the age of 12, I think it was 12, 13, by her manager. And these are, once again, these are my brain wandering and going 150 miles per hour.
Now, what my question is, if you lower the age of 14, and I'll get into why he said that, right? If we lower the age of consent to 14, right? Here's the thing. The reason why marriage you have to be, 18 to get married, is because you can't give consent under 18. Parents have to sign for you to get married if you're under 18. Now, if you lower it to 14, right? That means that a 14-year-old don't need its parents' permission to get married. So, okay, fine. So now the federal law code has to be rewritten to recognize children as adults. You can follow where I'm going with this. If they want to get married. So if an adult, let's say 45, want to have sex with a 14-year-old, all they got to do now is to have the 14-year-old sign the affidavit, i.e. the certificate, and that's it. That's it. That literally is it. Now let's go to what really happens in human society. If 14 is the age of consent, what age you think niggas is gonna not now? And I don't say that as in black men, obviously. People are gonna press the envelope for if 14 is the age of legal consent.
Well, majority of the red pill community will start pushing for the 14-year-old because they you know, they're really not I guess emotionally scarred. They're clueless. They can coerce them. They can brainwash them.
In my opinion, if 14 is legal, they're gonna be pushing for 12. If 14 is legal, they're gonna be pushing the envelope for 12.
Oh yeah.
And the really crazy people gonna be pushing for 10 and 9. So my thing is with the federal government, they know that that's how these people is. Like, these people are sick. Like, you gonna lower the age so their sickness ain't criminalized? Like, what are you doing here?
And you know what's interesting? You hear about human trafficking, but you see more flyers about human trafficking in the bathroom stalls at the airport. More than any other place. And why is that? Not on the subway, not at the bus station, not even in the schools, but in the bathroom stalls at the airport. And you see it a lot more at the international airports. Why is that? And here's another thing that I don't know if you're aware of, but when you're traveling with minors, like I have a minor, they just have to verify their name and date of birth. You don't have to say, well, that's my parent or da-da-da-da. You just...
True.
So he can buy a plane ticket for a 14-year-old and he doesn't have to prove anything. As long as that kid can say, this is my name and this is my date of birth, they're walking through TSA with no problem.
You see what I'm talking about? That right there. But see, this
and
guy...
then what's in the bathrooms, like I said, the human trafficking and the child trafficking flyers and posters.
Right, because that's the right place to have them, because that's the most freest place you're going to find these people, which is sad as I don't know what, for real, because it's like...
But when you go register your kid for school, I got to bring documentations and all of this stuff to put a child in school, but to take a child out of a state and put them on a flight...
No,
I don't need no documentation. That's scary.
That is very scary. But here's what's even scarier. Do you think everybody's stupid and don't know that? That's what's really scary. That's what's really scary. His attitude is scary. Like, oh, let me finish hearing this guy. Okay. Like you said, 14. Let's lower it to 14 because, as he said, this is the age people start having sex. So let's just go with it, right? Never mind the reality.
Already got a better version of the system that you suggest. And then I think when we talk about lowering the age of consent to 14 and the signal that that would send about young people that age to older people, even though it would remain illegal for them, I still think it would send a signal about the sexual availability of young people that would be far too dangerous for society to even contemplate without further evidence that we're actually doing harm, that we are actually criminalizing young people on anything like the sort of scale that you suggest.
Let me see. Okay, this is him explaining that shit. Okay, now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Do you pick up vibes from him?
Oh yeah, I've been the shirt, the tie, the pale face. That's why I said we need to look into his computer search history. Let's get that hard drive and see what's going on. Let's punch in.
I was looking at his face. She said that shirt, nigga. All right, let me okay.
As you may know, due to opposition to your past comments regarding the lowering of the age of consent, specifically your comments in a letter to The Guardian in 1997, you are unable to speak at one of the academic campuses. Could you clarify and explain your stance on the issue of the age of consent?
Yeah, for many years, I argued.
Why the fuck is a child asking him this damn?
Wait, hold up. I was sitting there saying that's one of his victims right there.
Oh, God. Listen, this is so weird. This is so weird right here. And I'm just saying, like, I know I ain't the only one. Thank God I ain't the only one. Okay, thank God. Thank God. God's day. All right. Just never mind this man face. I can't get over it. But now
that's his victim right there. We got this generic white wall. So this is probably filmed in his basement somewhere. Like,
hey, it's not funny, but to me, this shit crazy because, like you said, it's the white wall, the whiteness, the white boy, the underage white boy, his white ass hair.
And the boy looks like he's about 14.
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, why is he even up here doing an interview like this? Where's his parents at?
Is this a classroom assignment? Or, I mean, why? Yes, exactly. Is this a class assignment? And why are we doing this in school anyways in the first place?
No, this ain't no class assignment. This comes from the human rights people. It's like an online newspaper. I think it's like a teenage online newspaper, honestly. But let me let this little boy rock out and ask him this question and see what he said.
The reality is, whether we like it or not, most young people in Britain and many other countries have their first sexual experience before the age of 16, which in Britain is the lawful legal age of consent. I don't want to see those young people criminalized. I don't think criminalization is the right approach. Young people.
You see what he keeps saying? I don't want to see young people criminalized for having sex with other young people. Where are we putting people in jail for having sex?
But did you see the hesitation in his body language, though? His body language is different from the previous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm paying attention to that. Pay attention to his body language.
Yeah, his body language is more like you're on my side sort of thing. Like we're in this together.
Together.
Versus when he was in front of the girl, it was more straightforward, like he's in competition, right? But now suddenly it's like, where's that energy at? You feel me? But he's in an interview, I get it. But listen, I'm still trying to figure out, why is you on national television or online overly trying to talk about lowering the age of consent? Like, at some point he hasn't even articulated to what degree are children prosecuted for literally just having sex in criminal
court? My question is, it's like, I want to actually go look further into him. Like, where has he had these interviews with lawmakers? Like, since we're having,
it's
weird.
He ain't had nothing. He ain't had nothing. He just on here looking for his first victim, which looked like it's Jimmy here.
Yeah.
The education to encourage them to make wise, responsible sexual choices, and to enable them to deal with the emotional ups and downs of relationships.
This is how he's sitting in the chair. Like his shoulders are. He is.
The child here is too relaxed. First off, look at him. Look at his ass. He's too relaxed. I smack shit out my son.
Look, is that like a hole in the wall right there?
There is a hole in this wall. Like, I ain't even saying pause. There's a hole in this wall. It's a hole in the wall. Okay.
Okay, okay, that was my level of petty for the evening. Let me just continue. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything like a water spot on my screen because I was about to touch it and I'm like, no, it wasn't there. Is that a hole in the wall?
Okay, we got to be petty today. We do. I'm just now that is the low petty. Yeah. But see, right now I'm being petty when I'm looking at this boy and I'm like, I smack shit out my son, lean back in the chair like that in this type of conversation. First off, I didn't give you consent to have this conversation. Second of all, what you doing with your hand lean back like why is you comfortable? Like, see, that's what I'm saying. It couldn't be me. I don't know where his mother is, but I would have slapped his eyes black. His eyes is blue. Black. Like, oh, child. This what I'm saying. Me being a black mama, this what I'm saying. I'm biased. I can't deal with this. Him right there, or I would have fly kicked his ass a long time ago. But let me continue here because these people with these holes in the wall don't got money to sit in a regular conversation and shit. But he want to talk about lowering the age of consent. He need to up his month. Never mind. Let me just do it. Never mind.
In schools in many, many countries. So one of the reasons it isn't happening is because teachers are afraid to give that advice to young people under the age of 16 in case they're accused of aiding and abetting unlawful sexual acts. So
did he just say teachers are afraid to give sex?
Isn't that what sex ed is for, though?
You see, this is the double talk that I'm talking about. This right here. That's the double talk. It's like he's going to tell you we're doing something bad, so we must do something good. And if something good is what I'm telling you. Meanwhile, we ain't done shit. And what he's saying is opening the door for people like him, probably like people like him, to do things without consequence.
That's him waiting across the street from the school property in the white van, waiting for him, the young lad, to get out of school.
And here's the thing. Maybe the reason why teachers are afraid to talk is because that's not their fucking job. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're afraid to talk because these children are coming from different religious backgrounds. For you to take as an influencer, talk to a child about something that goes against their religious upbringing, what their parents have a right to teach them, you are now in direct conflict with their home life. So now you're creating problems at home from school as a teacher. That's not the role that you were hired to do. So maybe that's the reason why they don't want to talk about it. On top of the fact they ain't getting paid to talk about it. How about that?
That ain't they fucking kids.
Yeah, that too. The fact that I don't understand. Here's the thing. There's a child right now that probably entered inside of a sexual situation under the age of 10. Do you think we should be talking to 5-year-olds about how to put on condoms just because? Like, really? I mean, look
check back with people like him 40 years down the road, and you probably will say that because you have I think they were doctors in the UK. I remember this interview where it said that you need to get consent to change your child's diaper.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that. I didn't get into it, but I remember hearing about that. And I was like, that's a bit extreme. But here's my thing. Okay, fine. If you want to be that extreme about touching, why in the world would you contemplate lowering the age of consent to 14 when you sitting up here looking at parents talking about don't touch your own kid to change their diaper? That's how strict you are on parents. But and this is why I believe that the parental control thing was a good thing here in the United States, because if right now it sounds like parents don't have a right to do a damn thing. You don't got a right to breathe on your child right now, according to them. This dude trying to tell you as a parent at 14, they ain't your child no more. Like this is what I'm saying. But you're gonna pay their rent even though they ain't their child. Like this is why I feel like, even though the state, like I said, even though they haven't really thought, but so far in the future, this is a good step, because again, we're talking about children. We're not talking about grown women making a decision to get a procedure done to have a baby deletion. We're talking about kids, children. That it's a difference. That this is a difference. That child is not the one taking care of itself. So therefore, if that child goes out there and does something like that, that is between that child and their parents, not between the child and the state. Like, I don't get it. But let me let him finish.
I see that legal impediments to earlier, better quality sex and relationship education removed. I want to end the criminalization of young people. I want to ensure that they know they have a right to say yes to sex, but also a right to say no. And that they do decide to have sex, then they should do so wisely and responsibly, taking care of themselves and their partner. So what I've said about age consent has been grossly misrepresented. The letter to The Guardian was edited. It was primarily a defense against censorship. People were saying that a book that had been written about these issues should not be discussed. There should be no public debate about the issues. It was a book by academics, by scientists from around the world. I believe in academic freedom, and that was what the letter was defending. It did say at the end that I felt that it was impossible to condone paedophilia, so I made it quite clear that I was not condoning sex with children anyway. I've made that very clear since as well. So yeah, I think it's very, very unfair and very sad that one of the campuses has decided to ban me from speaking based upon missing lies, which have largely been orchestrated by the extreme far-right British National Party and by the extreme Catholic sect Opus Dei. They disagree with my human rights work. They oppose my support for LGBTI rights, and to try and discredit me, they've sought to maliciously misrepresent what I've said, or individual members of those organizations have sought to misrepresent what I've said. I should be able to speak in a free and open society. Even if people disagree with me, I think I should be heard, and people, of course, are free to criticize and challenge me. That is the way we operate in a liberal democratic society, not by banning people, particularly not banning people based on misinformation and lies.
Even though it must be noted that you did explicitly say that condoning paedophilia is impossible, do you think it is reasonable for comments such as "several of my friends, gay and straight, male and female, had sex with adults from the ages of 9 to 13 until they were abused," to be seen as somewhat sympathetic with paedophiles?
Not at all, not at all. So take, for example, the very famous filmmaker, Derek Jarman, who sadly has died. He told me when he was about 50 that he had had sex with a young man when he was 9 years old. He said it was his choice. He said he wasn't pressured or manipulated. He said he had no regrets about that sexual experience. So my view is, that's what he's saying. It's his personal view as an adult.
But he was so nonchalant saying that don't seem disgusted about it. And when you go back to his body language when he was explaining to himself, the way he was blinking his eyes was really different because usually you blink your eyes in synchrony, but there was a few times where he blinked and it was the left and then the right eye. You're going to have to go back and watch that, but I paid attention to that. But he was just too calm and collective about quoting something that someone said that is extremely disturbing that I can't even repeat it myself.
Look how disturbing it is. The goddamn Catholic Church don't want no parts of it. The Catholic Church don't want no parts of what you got to say. Are you serious? Them people? Okay. Like you, and then you wondering why don't nobody want to have nothing to do with you when the Catholic Church.
But the fact that someone of that age, 50 years old, told him that he did something with a 9-year-old, for that person to be comfortable to tell him that says a lot about him himself.
But you heard what he said. I'm not condoning pedophiles. Meanwhile, his whole demeanor and his non disapproval.
And then he had to throw in he's now deceased. Because then it's like you're held accountable. Well, why are you not reporting this? But did you report it when this individual was alive? Is my next question. But
right, and he's not even speaking of it in a way where he's like, "Listen, I didn't like what was said to me. However, this is what was said to me," and da 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 da. But what he's doing is trying to tell you one thing, but he's also saying the exact opposite in so many different ways. And right now, what he's trying to say is that 9-year-old told him. Or told them that he was not pressured and he made that decision on his own. So for the same reasons he just said that 14 should be the age of consent, 9 should be the age of consent. Because
the 9, yeah.
The 9-year-old said, I wasn't pressured. I did what I wanted to do. Bitch, ain't nobody asked you what you wanted to do at 9 years old. Don't nobody care what you want to do at 9 years old. We got too many scientific studies to show nobody should care what you want at 9 years old, other than maybe what color ice cream you like. Other than that, see, this
you're still wearing Power Rangers underwear, and
but according to him, this dude, 9 years old, knows what they want in a sexual partner. 9.
They haven't even taken sex ed. Half of them don't even know how the babies got here yet.
Mind you, half 16-year-olds don't right at this point. You seen how the 16-year-olds was talking to the lady when she asked him the question, right? They telling her one thing, and then the next sentence they telling her the very opposite because they can't really put it together in their mind. But yet he's talking about a 9-year-old made a conscious decision to have sex, and he was not being pressured and da 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 da. Mind you, this was homosexual sex. Mind you. On top of that. Now, we already got studies to show when children enter inside of sexual activity prior to certain ages, they have propensities to be promiscuous. They have a propensity to be sexually confused. They have a propensity to be sexually abusive. So what are you talking about, dude? This is what I'm saying. He playing both ends from the middle. And oh my God, it's like I don't want to sound like a racist. So I'm not. I'm just gonna let it play. But I think I have something at the end I want to show, just to his point about how much we criminalize kids having sex with other kids. So like I just want to show him how much it's criminalized.
A man looking back on his childhood. If he says that, who am I or you to dispute it? Now, I accept that most sex involving young people is abusive and wrong. His view is perhaps exceptional, but it's not a view that should be dismissed and denied. If an adult person looks back on an early sexual experience and says they consented to it, they were not pressured, they were not harmed, they have no regrets or complaints, I think we should do the honest thing and accept their viewpoint.
Accept their viewpoint and do what? Lower the age of consent to 9? That's what I want to know with his bitch ass. What you want me to do?
Lower the age. Statutes of limitations will go into effect with that. There's a lot of that's a whole nother broad spectrum right there.
Yeah, never mind that much. Never mind that part of the law, that when you do that, now you got to bring all the pedophiles out and retry them cases, because now the law done changed and you got them in jail and they don't want to be in jail because they got other stuff to do, like go back to what they were doing. But let me show you how much we criminalize people having sex. Let me show you.
Even though I'm 36 weeks pregnant, me and Matthew are still having sex. I really want to be with him, and I did miss him. And one of the nights we were having sex, my water broke. Like, I just felt stuff coming out, and like I pulled my pants down and just water started gushing.
It was just a puddle of water on the bed, and it was a lot. Like,
fair use for the algorithm. Fair use.
Like 3 inches of water sticking out the bed.
I told Matthew to go get my mom.
Matthew runs in my room and says, Haley's water broke. Get up, we gotta go. So I've run in her room and there's a big puddle of water in her mattress. I mean, it's like a gallon.
When my mom came in the room and thought that it was a joke, I was like, Mom, it's not a joke, my water broke. And she started freaking out.
We just all started getting dressed and rushing so we could hurry to get to the hospital.
It was like 15 minutes to get to the hospital, and they were just both really excited. And I was just scared because the baby was about to come out my freaking coochie.
Did you hear that shit? They spent a whole minute of my fucking life talking about her water break, and never mind the cringe part, which is I was fucking in my mother's house while it's my mom's house. I'm a child. I'm fucking in my mother's house where she can hear it. And my water broke. And I told my boyfriend to go tell my mother. And my mother didn't do shit. And she came in there and was like, oh my God. And then they were so happy. And she's like, well, I don't know what's coming out of my cooch. She don't even have enough reserve to say, I don't know what is happening. Bitch said, I don't know what's coming out of my cooch. Like, she don't have no regard. Now, let me ask you something. Is he going to jail for having sex with her?
Obviously not.
Is she going to jail for openly having sex with him? Because she said
obviously not.
He didn't say that. I'll give him credit. He didn't say he was having sex with her, but she definitely said my water broke because I was having sex with this man, and then the camera panned over to that man. Where's the criminality at? You remember?
Well, they're gonna say they are of the same age, so it doesn't apply to them, and they're gonna say mom consented because they're all in the house. So yeah, I get it.
But what I'm saying is this, right? He's saying that right now we criminalize kids having sex with the same age. The girl told him, no, we don't. We criminalize children that are abusive to other children that do criminal activity, essentially. We don't just put kids in jail simply because they're having sexual relations with one another. My thing is here, and I think Europe has their own version of 16 and pregnant. This is ours. But 16 and pregnant was the glorification of kids having sex with other kids. Now, mind you, that had been going on. That's been going on. My grandmother was 16 when she had my father. And she had my father by a celebrity. She was 16. My great-grandmother was 13. You understand? Like, what are you talking about people going to jail? What are you talking about? So basically, you think everybody dumb. And the thing is, all you want is some child sex. That's all you want. But how did we get from child trafficking to this? Because the issue is a child can't consent. The parent can consent. So now you have these pedophiles saying, ooh, let me get in on this. Maybe the age of consent should be 14. Hell, 9.
But then again, it all goes back again. Sometimes the parents traffic their own kids. Now, and that's a whole nother can of worms right there.
That's a can right there. That's a can. That's a whole can. Look at this. Look how much we criminalizing these Negroes.
You've been sitting there waiting for forever. I was kind of jealous Haley got to hold her first. not the fact that Haley got to hold her first. I was cool with that. Like, hey, the mama always gets to hold the baby first. You've been carrying this child forever. But I don't know. I was so excited to hold her and be able to just.
He excited to hold a baby he ain't taking care of. But we criminalize kids. Nigga, all right, let me cut this off. Cause see, this is the shit right here. Where am I at? Like this shit, y'all. Listen. This is what I'll say. Parents, if you have a child, it doesn't matter how old your child is. As a parent, nobody should take your right to make decisions for the best interest of that child away from you. That's clear and concise. I'm never going to sit and tell a parent that you shouldn't have decision making because this decision involves something that's important. Like, I'm never going to say that. Never. Oh, and it's okay. Got you. So I'm never going to say that. And I just want to say before I close, because it's important that we look at this like logically and say, I get it that, rights are changing. The rules are changing. It happens, right? But when it comes to children, this is not the same conversation when we talk about adults and adults making decisions as harsh as child deletion. We're not talking about adults here. We're talking about children, and parents are responsible for their children, even if their child gets pregnant. That is your responsibility as an adult to take care of that. And the state shouldn't be taking that away from you because, like you said, Lady E, the school needs your permission to give them aspirin. You don't need my permission to take them across state lines, but you need my permission to give them aspirin. Like, get out of here with that. But I'll let you say your closing words because I know you got to go. But go ahead. What say you?
Thank you for having me. This was a very interesting conversation. And I can definitely foresee that with, Roe versus Wade being left in the hands of the state, that this is going to be the interesting next 5 to 10 years as these laws evolve and how it will have an effect on America. It's basically a new American culture is coming through, and I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of interested to see how this evolves because now, it's from state to state, and traveling from state to state gonna be an issue. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm still gonna, every time I go to the airport, I'm gonna see those flyers in the bathroom stalls, and I can still go through TSA with my child, and I don't have to show any proof of anything. And that, just watching everything and you explaining everything, and for me to put everything into perspective and actually think about it, that it's scary.
It is. It is so scary. And I now that you brought that to my attention, I look at airports differently now because like I saw it, but then I didn't see it. But now after hearing this man, girl,
yeah, you got to bring paperwork to register your kid for school, but you don't need any type of documents because I think children can fly with an adult without any form of ID up until the age of 15.
Right. Unless they're going out of country, then they won't.
Unless if they're going out of the country. But I can take someone's kid from Louisiana and bring them to Alaska or bring them to New York. And I don't need any proof of anything.
That's so true. That's true.
And I can scare a child and say, you better say this to the TSA agent, or otherwise X, Y, and Z can happen to you. And that's enough for the kid to say, my name is such and such, and I'm such and such age.
That's so bad. And that's what I'm saying. Like that, and this is what I'm saying. If they're gonna change these laws like this, they need to get that in order right there. Like, seriously. But I thank you for coming on and shedding light on that. I have learned a few things. But I hope whoever sees this, because I'm probably gonna add some stuff to this video in terms of in the comment section, because I think I don't think too many people is understanding how things are shifting. And I think that what you said is really, really important for people to keep in mind when it comes to this whole, you doing your own thing out here, and then you allowing these children to do it. And here's my thing, ladies, I don't care how old you are. This is real life. Stop acting like it ain't. Just stop acting like it ain't. Condoms go a long way. Not doing it goes a long way. You don't got the right to do any and everything you want to do. You don't. This is not what this is. America had everybody fooled, but now it's time to wake up. The alarm clock then went off, and I mean that joint is ringing. All right. So I'm gonna let you go, but thank you, Lady E, for coming on and blessing me. As you know, I'm probably gonna see you later on another channel, and we'll be cutting up.
Yes. Yeah, y'all will start seeing me floating back into the realm. I've been out of it, but I'll be coming back to it shortly.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it, but we will be in touch. Thank you. Have a great night. I'm gonna close the show out, and I will see you later. Thank you, Hart.
Thank you.
All right. See you.
See ya.
Hey, when I tell y'all that I have fun over here talking about what I'm passionate about, I really do mean that. And like I said, I'm probably gonna rename this just because I just think it would reach more people if it had a different name. But I definitely learned some things. I know you guys have probably learned a few things listening to this and probably been shocked. I'm 9. Okay, I don't have a picture of a 9-year-old right now, but I'm sure everybody has seen one. 9. Okay, this is where we at right now. So don't be fooled, y'all. This is a hard time in history to work ourselves around in terms of what's changing that seemed like it's always been like something we're used to. But I'm telling you right now, the only way to get around this is to not put yourself in the way of this. If you're entertaining sex with a man or anybody, make sure you are protected. There is 1,001 different contraceptives, including condoms and not doing it at all and withdrawal. Like there's too much out here that can help you for you to be in a pregnant circumstance, male or female. And if you do find yourself pregnant, understand, time to grow up. All right, time to grow up. This is what life is about. It's not over. I was a teenager when I had my first child. I was a teenager when I had my second child, but I was living on my own, me and my fiance, and we had our own place. So, I mean, things were different. I had a lot more money at that time, but when I first had my first child, I was a kid. And yes, my kid was my parents' kid too. It wasn't the end of the world. I went on to get 3 degrees. I went on to, being very successful. I finished college. I didn't finish it on time, but I finished college, and I didn't go a day hungry. So there are worse things than being pregnant. But I'm telling you right now, getting a baby deletion is not always the right decision. I know some people would say, what if the child's health is at risk? Okay, fine. That we have provisions for that. But taking someone else's child and making that level of a decision, and then if something should go wrong, you want to blame the parent? No, I'm never I'm never going to condone nothing like that. I'm a parent. I've been a child, and I can tell you the parents are right on this one. So thank you for coming through. Once again, thank you to everyone that participated in the chat. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, I'm not used to getting super chats. Okay, thank you for the super chat, Sophisticated Jerking, everyone. Shout out to everybody that has always come through and show me love. I will see you guys in my next video, and I promise it will be impromptu. So good night, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.